Good evening, Speed Gaming 6. Here's a channel we haven't used in a while, so it's great to see you all back here. We've got our Speed Gaming ALTTPR Daily Race Casual Boots today, featuring Vortex of Doom, Sailor Nep, Some Person No, and Files all on Restream. I think we've got 13 runners in the race altogether. I'm Drosy, though, and I'm here with my good buddy Specs. How are you this fine Wednesday?
I'm doing great, Drosy. I'm excited for this casual boots race. As you mentioned, you've got 13 people racing. You've got a lot. You've got great players here on the restream.
Ooh, looks like someone snuck in. We have
Should be fun.
14.
Oh, 14 now? Are you right? Yep.
But yeah, should be great. They've started in real time. We should be getting going momentarily here. Of course, the first 5 minutes are, we know what's coming.
Yeah, the first 5-6 minutes are always the same. Even then, even usually the first 11 minutes are the same, as most people will pick the exact same route to Lost Woods and Kakariko and everything at the beginning. Occasionally, someone will, mix it up and save and create out a sink and maybe go do South Shore first or Eastern Palace, stuff like that. But most people will go Lost Woods and Kakariko after Escape. But that's also what makes Kaz Boots fun, or one of the reasons. Kaz Boots is fun because you can start with a sword, and Boots just go fast the whole game. But it also means that your early routing and options are basically standardized, and so there's less volatility in it, which can be nice because it means like execution and routing later on in the seed are all the kind of determines who wins, and not only gambles of like, do you do the front of escape, how do you do uncle or sank start at the beginning. It's not more volatile decisions right at the get-go like that.
Yeah, it's nice not to have to worry about like if or when to fit in the front of escape.
Yeah, because a lot of top players would just skip it and not go there unless they get funneled to it. But then there's like an ice rod or a medallion and things that you don't tend to get funneled into by the game's logic or the randomizer's logic. That can be kind of scary. Otherwise, you'll wait until the game normally funnels you there. But in Kaz Boots, it's like, nah, you just always have to do escape. You don't even have to farm bombs for the back of escape because you have boots to open it. And then you don't have to worry about, and then there's no decision of do you skip checking Lumberjack? Most people just check it because it's basically immediately in logic thanks to you already having boots. So there's a lot of stuff right at the get-go is standardized and can make the beginning a little bit boring to watch. But as a runner, it's nice for just kind of always make sure everyone gets a good even footing in terms of where they start and a good equipment for decision making.
You don't even need to worry about bombs for the back of escape because you can just bonk the back of escape if you don't have bombs.
Yeah, exactly. So enemy drops aren't that big. Was it a normal standard start? Yeah, you have to worry about farming different things, farm your bombs. Here, nope.
Now, so far, we haven't found particularly interesting items other than Uncle did literally give us the shirt off his back.
The early blue mail is nice because you'll avoid those deaths and then, don't have to worry about actually messing up versus ball in chain guard. But it will make death ropes annoying later on until they get the mirror. So, death roping out of some early dungeons will be annoying right now. So hopefully they can keep their health low or get a mirror or just avoid needing to death rope in dungeons right now.
Hey, you know how you were talking about Lumberjack? We're now a lamp away from Lumberjack being in logic.
Yeah, we've already got having that second sword already. And what was that? That was in the back in front of escape.
Yeah, that was in Zelda's cell.
Yeah, just need a lamp, and then we're looking at maybe an Agaseed here. I mean, of course we don't know. But whenever you see a Master Sword, or the lamp, or cape, or wire at the get-go in Kaz Boots, in most modes, you always just think it's going to be an Agaseed. And it may not end up being one, but you have that fear, and it'll be on your mind. And I don't think we got any map checks by our players.
But since you were saying about whether you route in Lumberjack or not, when you're a lamp away from Lumberjack being in logic, you definitely route in Lumberjack when you're going by there.
Yeah, you absolutely do in this mode. Whereas in a non-Kaz Boots, we don't have boots. a lot of people like myself will skip that lumberjack check as they go to Lost Woods and wait until later when they go up mountain, or later on when they're doing bonk walks with the boots and they'll route it in then, or maybe you route it and you have like, if you have mirror and you're doing the bumper cave check, that's what you'll often see in a more traditional start where you don't have boots. But when you have boots, it's just like, well, it's really fast to check it. It's basically in logic. It's going to be eventually because you know you have boots for the whole seed, so it just makes sense.
Now, we haven't seen the map yet, right? So that's got to be in the back somewhere.
I don't believe we have.
Which means if it's not in the back of Escape, we can skip Sank Chest.
That's the only thing you want to keep out for. It only saves you a couple seconds to not check it, but, you know, why check it if you can easily avoid it? Save that time.
And
okay.
Yeah, I do believe that Sank Chest has the map.
Also, really nice that there are 2 300s in this. You're pretty much set on money for the whole seat. Technically, you will need more money, but you can pretty much bet that you're going to find it just naturally in chests. So, all our players are guaranteed to be set for Zora and Bottle Merchant right off the get-go. And even buying bombs shouldn't be an issue either if they want to do that.
And the boot start makes water walking easy, so I bet, like, these runners are, for the most part, going to route in Zora with their South Shore checks.
Yeah, it's another good point. There's nothing about Cas boots because water walking now becomes such a good option. So you can do Waterfall Ferry, check Zora's Ledge, do Zora. You're pretty much always going to see everybody here do Ice Rod Cave into those water rock checks. The biggest questions are like, can they grab the Zora Ledge item at that time? Do they have the money for Zora? And do they squeeze in a hobo check?
There's Hammer and Bonk Rocks. Also, we got a
really nice,
very quick map check from Nep. I saw regular crystals on Eastern and Hera and didn't catch Desert.
The hammer is nice. It doesn't get us out of an Aga seed yet. Obviously, we're still a glove and moon pearl away. And sometimes the Aga seeds want you to have that hammer so that you can go south from Pyramid to like Hype Cave area. So we'll see. We still don't know, but decent chance that we might be able to avoid that Aga seed, but still up in the air.
And sure enough, everyone's checking Lumberjack. We're not going to need Aga for Lumberjack, at least.
That's good. And having this master sword here for Lost Woods makes dealing with those birds even easier, because normally they take 2 swings. Another 300 rupees?
So we've seen 3 out of 5 300s. Wow.
That's really nice. Okay, yeah, no one needs to worry about money at all this seed. Like, they don't even need to buy, like, yeah, you skip that 20 in Thieves and they'll probably skip grabbing the pots out of Cackwell and Blind's Hut today. You don't need them.
We're also already up to 5 heart containers.
With Blue Mail, that's pretty good. Only thing is, you know, Death Hoping might be harder, so a mirror would be... I mean, you always want Only Mirror, but even more so, you want Only Mirror right now. Or grab a few more hearts, and Death Hoping is going to become quite the venture that you have to weigh the costs of if you even go for it. Okay.
Ooh, and Files did not get lucky with that Bonk Rocks there, as opposed to Nep, who was able to pull a bomb off of it. Files got zilch.
At least has 1 bomb coming in. But yeah, not... 2 would be better. Now you're hoping for bombs to be here in Blind's Hut or Cackwell.
I hear there are bombs on Lumberjack.
That's totally worth the time. And there is bombs here in Blind's Hut, so Files will be totally fine.
Okay,
everyone will be fine for bombs.
Vortex, interesting play here.
Oh, that... I rarely see someone go that
to
route.
Ice Rod Cave. Wow. Having charged the water walk over the drop down into Thieves' Hideout.
I've never seen that mix-up. That's a really cool one. That is one of these moments where you can see someone go for a different routing option. So you do have those Only Rupees, you can actually do Zoro right now. Normally you do not have that choice, so you wouldn't go for this, but in this seed it makes total sense. And a bow.
Yeah, now Zora isn't in Logic, and meanwhile our 2 right runners found a bow, as you said, in Cackwell, which could help with a splash delete if something useful is on Zora Ledge. Okay, that looked like a pendant of some sort on desert, with files doing that map check. I didn't catch the color.
I didn't either. Well, we'll find out.
Oh, there we go, green pendant.
Green pendant? Cool. So that's a
Shout
maybe
outs
thing.
to Maddie Walkherd and Sorcerer Finch, our trackers.
Book and Waterfall Fairy.
Speaking of green pendant desert.
So that book's not in logic yet, but if you get to a point where later on you don't have the requirement yet to avoid Aga, you might be thinking about using that book. Zorba's Ledge not required, so Vortex will not be harmed by not having that bow for a splash delete.
And Cane of Burna in the back of Tavern. That's an interesting early pickup.
Definitely nice to have. Make a lot of Zoro not required.
So about that logic, as Sailor Nick
Oh.
picks up the Sphere 1 flippers from the library, with files immediately following.
So that means Desert will be in logic, so there will be temptation to go to Desert and check Desert Ledge, and the 2 items you might be able to get. Maybe only 1 item, but maybe 2 out of Desert. That's one of those situations where you'll do all of Southshire, you'll do Kakariko and everything, you'll do Sahash in Eastern Palace at this point, since Eastern's a crystal and you have the bow. Although
Yeah.
Vortex is coming over here without the bow.
Oof. Yeah, that stings. He's gonna feel silly when he goes to CAC and gets his bow.
Yeah, it's completely reasonable what he's doing, but there'll definitely be a routing loss here. Just unfortunate. Yeah. At least he's not diving Eastern, which would be extra crazy.
Yeah, Nep doing kind of the conventional routing here, though. She did skip Dam, so looks like she's planning to route that in with Aegina.
Yeah, I actually like the damn skip here. When you know Desert might be a pendant, you can definitely think of like, okay, I'm gonna have to go over to Desert later anyway. I mean, she doesn't know about the book, but when I see like a pendant Desert or something, I think Desert might come up. I will deliberately wait on
Right. No, it's pretty
combine
clear,
with the Venus.
like, given how much we got in Kakariko, Files decided to follow the bow to Eastern, and Nep decided to follow the flips to South Shore.
Yeah, interesting decisions.
And let's see what Some Person No does now that they have their flippers and bow.
And Vortex is still putting off Kakariko for right now. Clean up South Shore now. It's actually interesting here how we have like 3 different routing choices here early on.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of divergence. So this is our first look at the dam from Vortex, yes? And Nep is going to give us our first look at Hobo.
Yeah, this is something you will obviously people skip, but when you get the flippers, you usually don't skip it because now it's in logic. So this is something that like Vortex will might have to come back for later because it'll be like, oh wait, Hobo's in logic. I have to check it now.
Yeah, that was in logic for a good reason. Moonpearl Hobo, as we find Quake in Eastern, which may or may not be worth something.
So far, everything's kind of ordering Vortex. Like, nothing that, like, takes him out of the race or anything. But, you know, now you have to go back and do Hobo, and then probably saving Quit out of it instead of combining it more neatly with the Router Rock. And I'll have to go back over to the
Was that a glove on Desert Ledge?
I did not see.
It was very fast, but I think that was a glove on Desert Ledge. Chat's saying it was a glove.
Was a glove. Okay, so that's a Dark World access.
Yep, so we are definitely not doing Aga this seed.
So the biggest question will be for Vortex is when does he go over and grab that Moon Pearl? I mean, he'll eventually be funneled to it, but yeah, it's gonna take a little time to do it. Eastern. Unfortunate because the routing decision he made earlier was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole idea of the cap skip that if everyone else is doing it and it has nothing, then you can, or if you find some nice progression elsewhere that, you know, then combines well with CAC, so you can go right into Dark World.
Yeah, like pattern with your hammer, or maybe your bottle for that sick kid check. Those things are usually nice to get, and I've gotten the routing advantage of doing, you know, a similar idea. This is kind of where it could have gone the other way where Vortex got an advantage, but in this case, just didn't go that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless you want to fake Flipper or Water Walk to Hobo, you need to go to CAC for your logical Dark World access, because how are you getting the Moon Pearl?
Yeah, but almost no one there would have gone to Hobo without Flippers. You can, but most people won't do it. It's a mix-up to do it, but not a common one to see.
Right. I mean, you lose your Water Walk is the big downside.
Yeah, but then it's a lot slower, and at that point, and there's the glove for Vortex. No Dark World access yet, because he doesn't know what that Moon Pearl is. Because he doesn't even have the Flippers to know Hobo isn't logic yet. But, yeah, so, we see anything out of Eastern yet? I see a Red Boomerang and Quake, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Boomerang is good just because that's the only stun and item retrieval tool we have right now.
It's definitely handy to have. Like, you're happy to have a Boomerang. Once you get one, you don't care as much about getting another. I mean, the blue ones usually...
Oh, but there's the hook shot in Desert, which makes the Boomerang a lot less interesting. And there's the powder.
Ooh.
Well, at least Vortex can do Magic Bat when he goes to Kakariko and finds all those items that have been eluding him.
Yeah, what would be really scary is if he finds the lamp, but then he gets probably won't find the lamp, but he might decide to go out to Mountain out of logic with that hook shot and hammer, and continue to skip Hobo, which could be scary. And not having a bow, probably won't go back to Eastern right now, so you might see that happen.
Yeah, Vortex is really into the anything but CAC play.
Yep.
And I think these other runners will go to Desert. I mean, they need to go to Desert eventually. It's their Dark World access.
Yeah, when you're just a glove away from Dark World, and it's... You have Aginas, you have Desert Ledge there, you have at least one item in Desert, maybe two depending on layout. It'd be crazy not to go.
Okay, let's see
and with
what
no
Vortex
lamp
does here. Looks like he is going for the mountain. You were right about that.
Yep, so that's the scary part here, is that Vortex might find great progression here. So this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it could waste time because it's not in logic, there's no lamp, and even if Vortex does find good progression, it might make them have more options and take even longer for them to get back to that Hobo check, or the library for the Flippers to make them even think about Hobo. Or get that bow for Eastern and Pod later on. Like, eventually they're going to get to those things, but, it's a question of when. Did files go to Big Key Chest? I did not look at the layout earlier.
I believe he skipped it. No, he must have gone to it. It was vanilla.
Yep. It's honestly kind of nice when that happens, because you don't have to worry about someone skipping it, and them being rewarded, or you feel like you have to skip it, but now you just get to do it, and not have to worry about that skip being an issue. So hey, I'm a big fan of Big Key and Big Key Chest.
There was the bug net in Spec Rock, and Vortex is giving it no respect.
Wow. No respect to the filet. How rude. Yeah, we'll see what's here in Paradox. Again, this is all out of logic at the moment, but we'll see what's here. Because there's no lamp to get mountain access.
Meanwhile, the other runners are retracing each other's steps, which makes me wonder when any of them are gonna make it to Desert. They all have the... Well, has Files still not done the Flippers checks? I guess not. He's about to.
Yeah.
So he'll get his Moon Pearl and book and everything.
Taking the slightly slower route down, because you could have used the Flippers to come down. It's not that much slower. Let's see if they do Hobo. They might skip Hobo, maybe. Okay, they're gonna do Hobo.
Ooh, and Vortex finds our first bottle in Paradox Cave. So as you were saying, he will be able to check Sick Kid and Magic Bat when he gets to CAC, which we haven't seen from the other runners because they don't have the items for it.
Nope. And then you'd expect they're gonna see that bow in the Flippers. Maybe they get an item progression from the Sick Kid or Magic Bat. My guess is they won't get anything too crazy. They're more likely to follow that bow and Flippers. over to Eastern or over to Hobo. Probably do both at some point.
What was that? Another bottle on Floating Island?
I think so.
Yeah.
And Canis Samaria Paradox. That's nice.
Oh, I missed that.
It wasn't Paradox, right? Because he hasn't done.
Oh, and
Spiral.
there's our third bottle on Ether Tablet.
Dang. Okay, game.
So 3 bottles on Light Death Mountain. Go
Also
figure.
note, it's a fairy bottle, and right now there's no mirror for death roping. You don't need a death rope in Hera, but Vortex and later on our other runners, when they go and do that check, we'll need to make sure they are careful about that fairy until they get the mirror.
Yeah. And Vortex has a nice loadout for doing Hera, at least with the hookshot and a Master Sword and hammer and everything.
Yeah, this is also out of logic. It means out of logic should be up a mountain all right now, but there's another layer of out of logic because there's no fire source for the basement. Although that would only be they had a big key, so I guess actually beating the dungeons in logic, just the basement's not.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, we literally can't do the basement, and we've just confirmed there's an item in the basement because we've gotten all the dungeon items so far and haven't found any regular items.
Yeah, and being that everyone else is going to have Darkwold access as soon as they go to Desert, I don't see anyone checking that basement anytime soon, even the other runners when they get up here. So I don't think Vortex would be unique in the fact that they're skipping this. I could be wrong, but that's what I would expect. Yep, and Files and Nep both getting to Desert at the same time. Basically neck and neck, coming over to Gina's and Desert.
And Moldorm just giving us money.
That's what we need in the seed. We haven't had enough money.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
675, and you already did Zora.
Right.
And didn't even Houlihan. Dang.
So where's Vortex going now?
Spiral Cave, I would expect.
Oh, right. We came through the bottom. We haven't done Spiral Cave. And Nep and Files are pretty well synced up here. They've done pretty much the same checks. Where did they get their third sword? I missed that.
I had to. Some person knows skip the big chest. They didn't even check it. Because that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed that they could have an item. It was the red boomerang in this case. So yeah, they skipped it.
Oh, there was a sorted bottle vendor. I totally missed that.
Same. It kind of blended into the rest of Kakariko. Good to know. That explains why Vortex doesn't have it yet.
I mean, it was really Stackariko today. We were focusing on, flippers and bow and stuff.
And all the different routes, so... Okay, now Vortex is coming from the bottom. We'll check Maze Racing Library. Get those flippers. I would assume go ahead and do the rest of Kakariko, considering how many items are there. Kind of insane not to. Yeah, odd choice by some person. I must have just forgotten that they hadn't done the big chest yet.
And again, still not having a fire source. We can't grab the green pendant while we're in Desert.
Nope, which honestly is kind of nice. So you don't have that temptation. You're just like, well, I can't do it, so no temptation to spend time grabbing the green pendant and not get rewarded. Slash the second... Did we get one item out of Desert? Only one item?
That I don't remember. We obviously got the hook shot, but...
I want to see we probably got 2 items out of it, but I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see soon enough what's in the big key chest.
Yeah, I think the boss had the other item. Which is why you almost kind of have to not to have the temptation to be like, okay, yeah, I don't have to worry about that 2-item play. That might be a huge waste of time.
Oh yeah, the powder, right.
Oh, yep, powder, yep. So it's only a 1-item play for boss. So yeah, really nice to have the really nice to have the fire source here because you're not tempted to do that one check. That takes a huge bunch of time, and now you have Darkwold access. Like you have so many options. You can do Adalogic Mountain. Like, why would you want to do Landmalice?
It turns out, I mean, the powder's always good as a safety, but in terms of fetch quest, all it got us was a nickel.
Yeah, they really needed more money. We'll see what Sick Kid had. I think we'll see that next.
Yeah, so it looks like Nep is going for Hype Cave.
Which makes complete sense. That's actually in logic to go in Dark World right now, whereas Mountain's not. So it'd be odd to follow Mountain at this point.
And File's doing the same. Yeah, it's a quick set of items. And either you get the mitts while you're down here, and then you just continue around into Village of Outcasts. And
Turtle Rock and Pod are both pendants.
yeah, I saw a blue pendant on Pod. Glad you caught Turtle Rock. I didn't catch the 5-6. Let's see here. Skull Woods and Swamp.
Okay, Skulls and Swamp. Okay. Yeah, we're just a mirror away from Swamp Axis.
And there's the mirror.
There you go. Okay, I expect to see some people. I personally would just do Swamp right here. It's fully in logic and a crystal. I can see Pretty Rock. Some people prefer to like go mode it so they know whether like left side's a required thing when they go in or not.
The game has given you Swamp access, and you're right next to Swamp.
I know. To me, like this, like you just do Swamp right here. Like it'd be crazy not to. No other dungeons except maybe like Thieves are really screaming out at you as much right now as Swamp is. And as a whole, it's potentially 6 items, at least 4 if left side has 2 of them.
Yeah, so Nep is going in. Files, I'm guessing, will do the same. Yep, he goes south as well.
Yeah, this seems like a no-brainer.
Some person, no, has found his way to desert. Will be picking up the glove and hookshot and powder. Vortex is finally getting his bow.
Yep. I wonder how Vortex will feel with what they find. Like they haven't made they made totally reasonable decisions, and they're not behind. I mean, they can definitely like they're not in a bad spot at all. But
So, what do we even still need? Mitts, flute, fire rod, and maybe a medallion? If Meyer isn't Quake?
Did Vortex skip Lost Woods, or did he do it earlier?
I
don't know.
He must have done Lost Woods. He's carrying too much money to have not done Lost Woods.
Oh, because they hit 300 on the mushroom spot, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to have a different amount of money. He did Lost Woods, but circled back. Okay, I couldn't thank you, Sorcerer. So he did Lost Woods, and then he went back east to take that portal to southeast Light World. Okay, that makes sense. That's how I wasn't sure what he did.
But you can see how he's kind of behind. I mean, I guess he'll get some of the time back when the other runners do Death Mountain. He does have that crystal from Hera, in fairness.
Yeah, but they'll be able to do it a bit more efficiently because they might have Titans when they get up there, or they'll have lamps, so they can actually know it's in logic. They could do the basement if they want. Otherwise, I don't see anyone doing basement in this scenario unless they really feel behind and want to make a play.
And Nep going straight for left side swamp. I didn't see if we got any dungeon items, but I'm guessing we did. Or unlike my co-com here, who just does left side swamp on principle.
I don't know what you're talking about, Drosy. I've never ever experienced anything negative from doing left side early without any info map of compass yet. Okay. Definitely didn't happen today in my mystery race. Map and compass are both over on the side.
But yeah, let's see what Nep gets off of left side here.
The Nep see map or compass? Yeah, I think you may have just said that.
Yeah, well that's what I'm trying to remember.
Looks like map in the first check swamp.
And File's going straight for the back. File's not even going to try diver down here.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable with it, and they do have the bombs, but if you're not great at the bomb one, or you're just iffy at it, it's not unreasonable to just save time and just do what you know works and.
And I think that was a total of $70 on left side swamp. Oh no, was that the lamp? Sorry, I saw a small red thing. I thought it was big 20.
Of course, it's lamp.
Our tracker's saying the lamp. Okay.
That lamp's. I mean, of course we will need firewood eventually, but you don't have that firewood yet. So no, that lamp's not bad. If you find the firewood really suited, super convenient for like Skull Woods or something, then you won't feel as good about it because you'll be like, well, I could have gotten that fire rod, and then Darkroom's not that big of a deal, but. There's no fire rod for a while, and that lamp's a lot better. Also, it makes it easier to read the logic, so it's not a bad thing. So, I don't know, you feel iffy. It's a weird one to get on Swamp left side. It'd be harder to know how to feel about it.
Okay, so File's backtracking with the big key, but finds the compass in there. So, he's got to know there are 2 items left side. Oh, and he's
his
going over there.
goggles.
Okay.
See, Jossie, this is why you do left side right at the get-go.
I
You just do it. Then you save time. Sometimes.
I guess Files didn't want to do left side when it could have just been one item, but as soon as he knows it's two items, he's going for it.
That's honestly pretty reasonable. When it's 2 items, it's a pretty tough choice to skip it. When it's 1 item, it's kind of Hero Basement. Like, it's pretty reasonable to skip it. So.
Oh, Nep triggered the staircase glitch, where if you try going up those stairs and aren't holding left, it'll suck you right back down them.
I didn't even know it was a thing. Interesting.
It only ever comes up when people find the big key in the diver down chest and want to go back to check the big chest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Problem is now you have to diver down twice.
If you're good at it, it's no big deal. Nep's good at it.
Yes, Nep's a force to be reckoned with. Oh.
A mushroom, of course.
Meanwhile, some person, has broken the logic to go up the mountain, so he's getting his cane and all that fun stuff.
That's an interesting choice to me. When you could have gone Darkwood access through, the Village of Outcasts, or you could have gone to the Hype Cave swamp area. And it's not a wrong play. It's a mix-up. That's the one I would do. I would have followed the logic like Nep and Files did.
Yeah, most runners, if they get logical Dark World access, they're going to the Dark World.
Yep, absolutely. Over an out of logic mountain. If you had Titan mitts, and maybe Mirror to combine with it, so that you can really route mountain nicely and do everything while you're up there, then it's a way better. It's way more. It's a tougher call. You have Titan mitts.
This is, by the way, basically a last location for Vortex for the Moon Pearl. It's certainly a logical last location. It's not a hard last location because he could have done Spike Cave.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And Vortex is probably not happy after that bow and flippers. It's probably just like, this is so dumb. This luck I had. Because their routing was interesting and not unreasonable, but it just wasn't the right one for this race. Again, it's a huge time loss. They still have Hera over like Nep and Files and some personnel, but they are down in the swamp play at the moment. And also they have part of Mountain done already, but they'll have to double dip Mountain one more time than their opponent most likely.
Nep giving us a Bombos check for junk, so that book really was just to get the glove and the hook shot out of Desert.
The Ether Tablet was just an extra bottle that we didn't have to have. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Sorcerer, yeah. Spike Cave would be out of logic without the Pearl. I didn't think about that.
Oh, right.
I
didn't think about that either.
I was thinking about the Pearl, and half the time I forget about the glove requirement. The worst when I forget about the glove and I go to the Spike Cave and I can't pick up the rock after I spit all my magic. And then I'm like,
Right, and we didn't even have the mirror to Super Bunny into Spike Cave.
Yep.
Okay, Nep has the powder, so she doesn't need to worry about fake powder, so she's turning in the mushroom right away. Just more money!
He loves giving money away.
Wow, Nep still had her portal for all that. That's impressive.
Yeah, I've never seen that routing choice. That's an interesting one. I will have to remember that. That's a good idea. Nifty.
And Files is going to be the first runner onto Death Mountain with, logical Death Mountain access.
Yup, with that lamp. And Moon Pearl. So they can actually do Spike Cave, and they could do Hero Basement, which again, I don't see anyone doing Hero Basement here. But most of the Spike Cave would be nice.
Ooh, that looks like a fire rod, but it could be an ice rod. Hard to tell.
That looked like fire rod to me.
Yeah, fire. Okay.
Which means that lamp outside swamp now is not as nearly as useful. It helps you read logic, and the lamp's convenient for dark rooms, but like, you're not gonna. Nep and Files may not feel great about having spent time to go grab that lamp when they get that fire rod right after and go, oh, I could have skipped that.
I mean, and now it makes Village of Outcasts area a very attractive play because you have 2 crystals that are readily available there.
Yeah. So far, if you pick like a conventional route like Nep did, who's, I feel like Nep to me feels like he has picked the most, I'll say, conventional route, which
I would agree.
So far this seed's been pretty well like it's been giving you very clear directions on where to go, and it hasn't played any tricks yet. Of course, we're only 34 minutes in. That could 100% change. But so far, if you just kind of do like the expected choices from what you're being given and the expected routes from Casboots, it'll pay off for you pretty well.
Now, in fairness, Nep and Files cleared the light world in almost exactly the same amount of time. It's just the dark world where their routing really diverged. Nep did cleaner routing of Swamp, and then since then, she and Files have gone in totally different directions.
Yeah, I think Files' choice is reasonable. I feel like Nep's is a bit more of the common method. Like when you're already down there, you probably fish through more Dark World stuff and then go to Village of Outcasts. Before going up Mountain, I think it's a more common play. But Files' play is also, again, completely reasonable and not a bad one.
And some person is starting with his Dark World exploration with Village, which is unfortunate from our perspective because we know he's not going to get the mirror, and the mirror leads to the fire rod, and he can certainly do Thieves Town with what he has.
And can't do Sick Kid or Magic Powder Check while they're here. And if they get Titan Mitts, they won't be able to do Smith's Chain, if that is a relevant factor. They did skip Skull Woods, so as long as they don't go back, I think they skipped Skull Woods, so they won't lose much time there, having to double do that with no fire rod. Assuming they don't go back, like you expect. And then K45, they can't route in easily. They're gonna walk right past it with no mirror. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, as you mentioned.
Hey, there's Buttersword in the brewery.
At least we have good weapons.
So, what's Thieves Town getting us today?
Yeah, it's 100% in logic. We've got that. We've got Keen's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge that could be done after this. We solved Skull. No one's been to Skull yet.
Right, I think Nep absolutely does Skull when she's done with Village.
Yeah, it would be crazy not to.
Oh, and thank you to our trackers for remembering that I really like the Omori MSU in Thieves Town.
It's a good song. We do have some force to know and Nep be Nep right now, despite having somewhat different routing choices. They're in the same dungeon at the moment.
Okay, 2 items in the front and they're both junk, and we have a small key.
At least you have your hammer, so you don't care a whole lot about what the layout is in this case. And it's a crystal, so you're gonna do the whole thing.
Okay, Argus down for Vortex. Oh, and Files is in Hera Basement. We will be seeing this item.
Okay. Yep. Going for the mix-up here and doing the basement.
You know, Vortex and Files are actually ahead in the crystal count at 3 apiece, while our other runners have 2 apiece, but I like Nep's positioning the best, even if she's not ahead in the crystal count.
I completely agree. 100% agree. Yeah, because the Files, whenever they go to the Village of Outcasts area, they're going to do it from the Village of Outcasts area going south, so they won't have that mirror for better routing. Or the fire rod.
Oh! Ooh! Oh my, we are going to Hera Basement in this seed.
Okay, now I like Files position the most, because...
Yeah, wow, okay.
Oh god. The classic. That's also something I never check hair basement. A lot of players don't, because it's just a time sink.
And kiddies, this is why you wait for logical Death Mountain access to go to Death Mountain.
But even then, like, yeah, you're only gonna do it if like, you're there and you're really running out of things to do, which could be Nep's case when Nep gets up there. So that Nep might be okay to make that. Might be about make that decision make sense when Nep gets there. But Vortex wasn't in that situation because of what you said. He went there early when he was out of logic and had lots of options.
And TR is Ether, so at least we won't be tempted to go in there. Hey, another 300! Not like we've been seeing many of those this seed.
No, not at all.
And another 300! Okay, Hookshot Cave had a lot of money and nothing else.
It's nice that Total Rock is ether required because you really don't want to be tempted to dive it right now. Files doesn't have the Cane of Samara, but other players later, if they get the Titan Mitts, would be in the position of they might think about diving.
Yeah, well, Files is about to get the Cane of Samara when he does Paradox Cave.
Oh, you're right. That's where it's at. They won't have Fire Rod though, so if they were to, and they don't have Ether obviously, so you don't have to consider that. You don't have the temptation.
And it looks like some person does not know the blind script, unfortunately. He's getting beat up a bit. He does have Burna. Remember that you have Burna. You're down to 2 hearts. You have Burna! Burna! No! Oh, I think he has a fairy.
Oh yeah, they're from the Ether tablet. Still, though, you want to use Burna there. Save the fairy.
Absolutely.
And time. Save time.
But that is crystal number 3 for both Sailor Nep and some person.
Yeah, it's... Dang. It's an interesting race. Yeah, it's Hero Basement. For Vertex, that's going to be a super hard last locate. Like, that's going to be a crazy hard last locate. At least it's a Titan Mitts. Now something that goes like a medallion or something where it's like harder to read that you need to go there. Titan Mitts, you will get funneled there eventually. But of course, you know, you'll have less efficient routing. You'll do some checks that you might otherwise not have done. So it's going to sting. What's the time? Your Vortex is getting unfortunate between the bow, the flippers, the Titan Mitts and Hero Basement. Oof.
Yeah, some person also, I think it'll be a while before he makes it to Hera Basement.
Yep, absolutely. But they already did Hera. So some person is, yeah, definitely in a bad spot too, in terms of doing a hard loss locate those Titan Mitts. And it was a Swamp and Skull Woods also that were Pyramid Crystals, so we'll see Pyramid very soon. Miles will be the only one who's in a good spot while in Village of Outcasts to consider doing Smith's Chain. Which we don't, and Hammer Pegs. We don't know if it has anything worthwhile.
I mean, we're running out of the places for the flute to be at this point. I guess there is Ice Palace. We do need to do it, and it's in logic. Well, Files doesn't have the Fire Rod yet to do it, and no one else has the mitts to do it, but we know it's available.
Yeah, if I was to pick up that Fire Rod, you would expect in a bit.
Wow, very cooperative Mothula.
A very nice Mothula. So I think we just need the flute and then potentially another medallion if Meyer is not Crake. And then we would be in go mode. I mean, no mode, but go mode depending on who gets it. Because Ice Rod's not required today. No TR's a pendant.
Yeah. So while Files is in a good position having the mitts, this routing is unfortunate for him without the fire rod.
Yeah, it would be a little less fortunate. The only major benefit though is if Smith Chain has something like the flute, then and they do it, Files does it, then it wouldn't be so bad.
Okay, so we got one item off of Moth and it was junk, and Nep's now in the front of Skullwoods looking for the other item.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Ooh, and some person is going to give us our first look at Catfish.
Interesting they're doing this now. I mean, they don't know what time mitts are, so it makes some sense. But they have Swamp available, and they're not doing it. And I don't think that they haven't done the K45. So this is an interesting call, because if you can do Swamp, I feel like you go do that.
Ooh, Nep's gonna go up the mountain now. She is not first detouring to Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb.
Yeah, I can understand it. They're better to the way sometimes, and to check that sometimes it gets skipped to save some time because they're not most friendly to routing and being fast. Vortex does know the script, and nice clean fight.
Yes, very nice. And crystal number 4 for him, which will tie him up with Nep, but again, he's at a bit of a disadvantage because when's he going to do Harrow Basement?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you probably... Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I hate Harrow Basement, personally. I hate it so much. I hate it. I feel for everyone on the seed. Except for Files, who got time mitts. I mean, again, it was a totally reasonable play. It's like a mix of is how I would put it. But it still feels awful to lose to it.
Well, we'll see how Nep plays it.
I can see Nep's, options of coming to an end, but Nep still has some options, and where those mitts could be, or the flute. Well, Fiddler doesn't get you anywhere. So, it'll be interesting to see what Nep does here.
Oh, and some person is now coming around to the Cave 45 area with a mirror, so this will be his fire rod.
Nice, then you expect Skull Woods. And it makes sense from Nep. Like, you're definitely going to go do the Paradox east part of Mountain here before you'd ever consider going back to Harrow Basement. But you might do it after that. Because at that point, all your techs you have left are like, Graveyard Ledge, Keen's Tomb, Catfish. They do have Pyramid Fairy available to them because they did Skullwoods and Swamp. So they still might consider skipping Harrow Basement, but if Paradox doesn't give anything, they might be more tempted to throw that in. Although they'll probably do Spiral before Harrow Basement. We'll see. It's gonna be kind of tough for me to want to do Harrow here when I know I have Pyramid Fairy, Pyramid, Catfish. You can go into Pod still too. Like, you got lots in front of you before you consider Harrow Basement.
Who goes independent pod, really?
Although Nep will probably go in the Harrow here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crystal dungeon and you're not in go mode.
I know I personally would skip the basement here, but we'll see if Nep does better than what I would do, which is definitely possible. Much better player. We'll see. But again, it's a tough call with what's available. You still have enough other things, so you probably don't want to do it. Yeah, Vortex will be at 5 crystals here soon. We'll have the crystal lead.
And to answer chat, the mitts were in Harrow Basement. That's why we keep talking about it.
Yup, and only Files did that check. And except for Nep, everyone's been to Hera. Although Nep's going to Hera right now.
Yeah, our 2 runners on the left went to Hera without a fire source out of logic, so they couldn't do the basement even if they wanted to. They do know if they were counting that there is an item there. And here's Smith Chain for Files. our first look at that.
This is something else that could further lead to flute is on Smith's chain. Or a required medallion for Meyer. Which we
won't know until we get the flute.
Yep, we don't know. We have no idea. Also, interesting, again, no one has been to Pendant Pod yet. Oh, Ped's dead. Okay.
Well, we keep having crystal dungeons to clear. Why do a pendant dungeon when you have crystals?
Oh, yeah, no, it's the right call for people to not have done Pod yet. I just think it's interesting that no one's done it. And, if we don't find the flute soon, I expect we will see a Pendant Pod dive.
Okay, now the interesting immediate question is, what will Nep do after Moldorm? And by the way, that was a nice fast fight on Buttersword.
Very good, yes. My guess is Nep doesn't do basement, but we'll see. I think Nep goes over into Spiral next. But I could definitely be wrong. I would be happy to be wrong here. Nope. Oh, nice. Nep's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, she's running low. Like, what are her options besides Pendant Pod?
Pyramid Fairy, Catfish, Pyramid,
Graveyard Ledge,
King's Tomb.
Yeah, so you know, either Pendant Pod or things that are like 2 checks apiece. So at this point, you're here and you're not at those other checks.
Yeah,
I think is the justification for doing Hera Basement.
Technically Spiral. It's actually the right call, because you know there's a decent chance she gets to come back. And then it'll be a super last locate. So it's definitely a reasonable call. A good call.
And here's File's Fire Rod. So he now has access to ice, which none of our other runners do, though Nep's about to.
And Graveyard Ledge just had rupees, so that's skippable. Okay. I would now say Nep has the advantage. Although, we'll see what Files gets out of Smith's chain here. Again, if Files gets something out of Smith's chain, then I would. It might be different. Although Nep will probably consider Smith's chain at some point. If that's where our flute's at.
Well, I think when Nep comes off the mountain, she'll do Ice Palace. Ooh, there's Ether. So we could go into TR and do everything except Trinex.
Gross. Maybe we can Ice Rod while we're in there. We do get to do Trinex. Maybe.
But no, Files has Crystal Skullwoods and Crystal Ice available, and I think you do those 2 Crystal Dungeons before you do anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. You would be crazy to do otherwise. Yeah, not even total work at this point, especially when you're not already on Mountain. It's a hard... Yeah, and Nep won't have the issue because she hasn't grabbed the Ether yet, so that's good. It's good that you have to go up the mountain to get the mitts and then go down. I shouldn't say good, but in terms of avoiding a TR dive, it's good that mitts are not on Mountain, and that Ether is also not... Oh, mitts are on Mountain, Ether is not on Mountain, so you have to leave Mountain without Ether.
Right. And here's our first look at Ice Palace.
And we can do it the quick way. We've got plenty of nice items. The only thing here is that you don't have combos or half magic, so you do have to watch your magic here. If you're not careful on your magic, it could have been an issue at the end. I expect most of players here, you know, they'll be careful. And it shouldn't be an issue, but you do need to be careful.
Yeah. Now the question is, our 2 runners on the left, when are they getting the mitts? I mean, Vortex has 5 crystals, and that's as many as he can get without the mitts. Some person's about to finish Swamp, and then he'll presumably do Skullwoods. And then he too will need to find his mitts.
I think Vortex is going to go do Pyramid Fairy, which makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And this could be our flute.
Though without the mitts, the flute doesn't do much.
Yeah, of course. But It's be one of the best case scenarios for Vortex, though. Really. Because it would at least keep Vortex from doing a lot of other checks later on. Once you get the mitts. So it needs to be in Gomo once you get mitts.
Oh, and Nep's gonna do Pyramid Fairy before Ice. Interesting.
That is interesting. I guess Nep's thinking is just that maybe if they can, normally when you see that, looks like Pyramid Fairy had nothing.
Yeah, Pyramid Fairy was junk, pure and simple.
I'm guessing Nep's thinking this, often when you see the Pyramid Crystals, like Swamp School Woods there, you get that Pyramid Fairy access. So often there is something logically required there, and if that is the case, then you can go mode the rest of your dungeons. So you can see Nep's reasoning here. Because if the flute is here, then you can pretty much act like you're in Go mode. You wouldn't know the Maya Medallion, but you could pretend like you are maybe in Go mode some more.
And here's Vortex making for Pendant Pod. I don't blame him. It's more items and closer than going up the mountain and doing Hera Basement as a one-off. But he's gonna need to go up the mountain and do Hera Basement as a one-off at some point.
Yeah, I definitely would have skipped Hera Basement. Incorrectly, because you're probably right. I should have followed Nep's logic and done it. But I probably would be in Vortex's shoes here, diving Pendant Pod. Hopefully he has a flute at least. Hopefully, for Vortex's sake. But even then, people are going to get over to Pendant Pod eventually. And Nep is going to go ahead and do Catfish, which I believe Vortex skipped in favor of Pod. But in Vortex's situation, not having Titan Mitts, it makes more sense. Whereas Nep already has Titan Mitts and knows they're just a flute and maybe a medallion from Go mode. Gonna make different decisions here based off those items.
Okay, we just got the Bloomerang in Ice.
Ooh, nice hover by Vortex. That was nice and clean.
Wow, yeah, that is one of the toughest hovers in the game.
And they made it look easy. They made that quick and easy. Wow. They did it so well, I didn't even notice they were doing it until they were almost done. And then I'm like, oh wait, but they didn't fail a couple times first. You're supposed to fail it like 2 or 3 times before
yeah, I mean, right, it's tough. You have to go out, you have to turn the corner, you have to get to the exact middle of the rail, and then cut in.
Yeah. Unfortunate that nice hover can't save them from Titans and Hera Basement. Oh, Bombos! That might come up. That might come up on Meyer. Might be useful. You don't know yet. Yeah, that Aetheron used to be what we have. We had Aetheron purple chest and Bombos and Pod big key chest. We don't even know if either one's required yet.
And Quake, of course, was in Eastern, which is why all of our runners have it.
Yep.
And looks like Ice Palace was a bust, unless you count the Bloomerang.
Dang. So Nep's decision would have ended up being probably the right ones then, because they would have done them afterwards anyway.
Right, so I wonder if Files bothers to do Pyramid Fairy at this point, or if he's gonna go straight into Pendant Pod.
It's a tough call. Without Flute, though, it does kind of make sense to at least do what Vortex did, and combo Pyramid Fairy into Pod.
Yeah, what is he doing?
Keenstoom, maybe. Nope, not Keenstoom.
Is he going for... Oh, he hasn't done Skull Woods yet, right.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, got the Fire Rod later. That makes sense.
And we're starting to run out of checks in Pod. But, where could Flute be?
Yeah, we're just running out of spots in general for this Flute to be, yeah.
I just had a thought. Remember how we couldn't do Landmos because we didn't have a fire source, and Landmos are green pendant?
Oh my god. Yeah, it could be green pendant, Landmos. Also, did we get all 5 items out of Pod? I did not count items in Pod.
I did not either. Counting to 5 is hard. But it looks like Vortex is doing Harrow Basement now.
I might do Spike Cave first. We'll see. But I think you do Harrow Basement and then Spike Cave, but we'll see what they choose to do. Yeah, there's Spike Cave.
By the way, while we're at this, do give these runners a follow. They are great runners, and it's really nice of them to, be willing to be on the restream for us tonight. Again, there are 10 more runners in this race who aren't on the restream. Oh my, Vortex is so committed, he is dashing out of Spike Cave. You don't see that very often.
No, you often don't. You see it a lot more in like an entrance mode, but in like vanilla modes, you don't see it off. But with the half magic, you can, I guess, yeah.
I guess half magic must have been in pod since no one else has it.
Yep, that must have been it. I was thinking about the time, like, what was it half magic? Spike Cave was arrows, so. Okay, now Vortex is gonna be like, wow, first the bow and the flippers, now my Titan's in Harrow Basement. What is going on with this seed? Oh, and then the Moon Pearl on Hobo.
So, hypothetically, if Helma King has a dungeon item, and therefore we didn't leave anything in pod, what do we have besides Green Pendant?
Oh, we have Turtle Rock.
Oh, right, we do
that.
have Turtle Rock access.
Vortex is not going to do it right now, unfortunately for them. They don't, yeah, they're not, it was Ether for Turtle Rock, wasn't it?
Yes.
So they have to do Purple Chest, so they're not going to do that, and they also have Ice Palace available, so they're not going to do it. So the only person thinking about it right now is going to be Files. They'll be the first one to even think about it. They still got a ways to go, because they haven't done Pod or anything yet. Or Period Fairy. And Sailor has to go to Smith Chain first to get that Ether. We know Ped's dead.
Yes, we've seen multiple people check Ped.
So let's... I don't know if Pod was 5 items. I want to say it was, but I wasn't keeping track, so there's an item on Helma. That's possible. Otherwise, it's Green Pendant Lambless, do Smith Chain so you can get Ether, and then go dive Turtle Rock. So knowing how this game is, it's probably go do Purple Chest, and then go dive Turtle Rock for your flute. That's probably what we're looking at. But it could be Landless. Gross. Hey, Sailor's gonna do Smith's Chain here. And Files is... Nope. Heading out of Schoolwoods. Thinking they'll do Graveyard Ledge and Consume? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which of Files and Nep finishes these kind of isolated checks first, and whether they decide to do Pod or TR.
Yeah. Yep. Your Nep could pull way ahead if they just choose to dive. Well, Desert or TR. I imagine most people here would choose the TR over the Desert because there's just way more items. And the way the items have been, like getting that Ether and Purple Chest, you follow that.
Well, and also, to get to Landmo, since we don't have Flute, you have to use the book and go all the way through the front.
Yeah, that would honestly be grosser than Turtle Rock, 'cause I feel like most people here are gonna die of Turtle Rock before Desert. Once they have that Ether from Purple Chest.
Yeah, and by the way, it was hard required to go into Desert without a fire source, since you had to go through Desert to get your Dark World access.
Yep. Interesting. Justin, I'm glad you asked me to come today, so I didn't have to do this Harrow Basement seed. I would be fuming right now.
See,
I would not be happy.
I spared you having to actually play the seed.
Yeah, if it's a Harrow Basement seed, just count me out. I don't want it. I don't want any part of that. I will always get like last. I like always get last in that kind of race.
Okay, File's making his way to Catfish via Mushroom Turn-In, while Nep is about to get her Ether.
Yeah, that's when we'll see what decision they make. And they still have Pendant Pod. Nep does. We'll see what she does. Well, when you get that Ether, you know if TR out, because that's a much harder choice whether you go do Pod or not. Pod or TR. TR becomes way more tempting.
Yeah, well, where is she gonna respawn? Mountain Cave, she's doing TR.
I feel like in this situation, like, you spent all the time to get those items, it's so tempting. Like, because it's deeper in the logic to go to Total Walk now, so it's more likely to have the flute and those 6 items there.
Right,
Pod.
you've had pod access since forever, you only just got TR access.
Yeah, and if it was something like a medallion for Mario Access, I don't know, it wouldn't be as crazy, but like with that flute though, flute, yeah, I feel like Total Walk is what you pick here. It's still a risk, because it could be on Landmolus, it could be in Pod, but TR just makes the most sense, realistically. Even though it's a huge time investment. To go all the way up Mountain, go all the way back potentially to Laser Room.
Yeah, I mean...
Potentially even beat Tridex if you get an Ice Rod in the middle of the dungeon.
Without the Ice Rod, it is either 5 or 6 checks, depending whether Trinex has an item, because we'll check Mimic Cave en route as well.
Yes. But the moment we find a flute here, assuming we find one in Total Rock, we're going to mirror out and we'll be in go mode for Nep. If we find a flute here, which obviously is still a
Well, it depends if Meyer is Bombos.
That's true, but I feel like in Nep situation, you don't spend time, you just leave and hope your 2 medallions work for Meyer. Most likely. I mean, if you're in Laser Room, you go ahead and finish the rest of the checks, obviously. But if you're not in the front or the middle of the dungeon, you just probably mirror out and leave and hope you're good to go.
Yeah, makes sense. It'll just be very interesting to see what Meyer Medallion is.
Yeah, it will be. For those who have done Pod... Wait, didn't Phyllis do Pod? Am I crazy?
No. Files, also, like Nep, did all those one-off overworld checks, and when he ran out of them, he decided to do TR because it was deeper in logic than Pod.
Some person no is when because I know Vortex did, but didn't 2 people do Pod? Did some person no do Pod?
Nope, I don't think anyone else has been into Pod. I mean, some person's opening Pod right now.
Okay, that literally proves I'm wrong. Okay, I'm just crazy. I could have sworn someone else did. I'm obviously wrong. Only Vortex did. I'm misremembering.
And meanwhile, Vortex has actually made up quite a bit of time. Perhaps because of the late mitts, he's not bothering with Smith Chain, so that's getting some time back. And so...
But if TR is the answer, they're still behind because you have to go to the Smith Chain anyway.
I was about to say... Oh, right. Yes, he's not going to be able to get into TR. Forgot about that.
They have to hope it's on Landmolus
detail.
And immediately go to Landmolus and hope that's the answer. But why would you do that? Like, to do Landmolus before Smith Chain here, it's a decision, but that's like a hard, aggressive decision. And it's the one Vortex has to hope for if he wants to try to win the whole thing. And so therefore, I don't think that's what Vortex will do. I think
it's probably in TR.
It is probably in TR, yeah.
Though I haven't been counting items.
I haven't either. I'm like, it'll show up if it's here. Only place I wish I had was Pod. So I knew whether the hell I had an item or not.
Vanilla Big Key, lovely. And of course, some person still hasn't been back to Hera Basement to get his mitts.
Ugh. Yeah, that hurts. That stings. Okay, Vortex soon Smith Chain here as we expected. We'll get through Ether. And then realize, okay, I guess I'm going to Total Rock. And I'm sure they'll be happy about that. They'll be very happy with the seed. Oh, shovel! Oh god. Well, you still finish that total rock here because you don't know what's on
Oh
the
yeah.
shovel. I mean, that is where the flute's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in the dig spot. The shovel gets you, so that's where you
So it
expect
could
the
be a
flute.
vanilla flute.
Could be.
Okay, this has got to be a small key. Crystal roller, yep. And of course, there'll be another small key on Laser Bridge. Hey, there's some person's half magic.
Nice. We'll take it. Means that what you want. You want progression. You know, mitts or flutes. That's not gonna be too happy about that. Okay, here's the moment of truth for Nep, and really just the whole seed as a whole. Where do we have in Laser Room? Oh god. Oh, there it is. There's the flute. Last check in Total Rock. Minus, nice to make you go do try.
I mean, that's the canonical chest of requirements.
Yeah, Total Rock's like, we're gonna make you check every single chest in Laser Room before you can get this flute. But now Nep is in go mode, assuming Bombos Medallion is not needed
Schrodinger's
for Meyer.
mode.
So we don't know. He has to go activate the flute, then go to Meyer and find out if Bombos is required. They're gonna check, they're gonna do the Meyer area. Probably not land on the list, but the other checks, like Meyer Shed, Checkerboard Cave, before you just head over to Pod. But they still have a huge lead at this point. Files being the next closest, being that they're about to grab their flute. If for Vortex and some person know they really need Bombos to matter to have it to be a closer race, they need that Bombos and Pod big key chest to matter.
Well, here's the moment of truth. It is Ether.
Both TR and Meyer today were Ether, so Kraken, Bombos were not needed. You did not need to go to Pendant Pod at all today.
Oh, and while we were talking, Vortex did do Smith Chain and got his Ether.
Yep, so they're now on track. Once they'll get to the end of this, get their flute, and they'll be in go mode. Just like Files and Nep. And some personnel looks like they're finally coming up here to do probably Spike Cave and Hero Basement and get their mitts. So yeah, some person was going to be especially mad about these mitts. Yeah. It's really taken them a long time to get back here. I don't blame them. I would have last located this too. Yeah. And they'll have to go do Smith Chain. At least they already did Pod, so they'll do Smith Chain. They have to do Total Rock for their flute. They still got a bit of ways to go.
And we apologize for the frozen video here.
We can use audio cues from next stream. You know what's going on, right? Sounds like Meyer's going well so far.
If we don't get this back shortly, I'm going to relaunch the drawing app.
Okay. Sounds like Nep just got spooky and is now going to the boss.
And picked up a fairy in the process.
Yep. Powder. I think we're hearing the Vitreous fight in my ear now. Yep, those arrows kill Vitreous. And Net beats Meyer. Has all the crystals, and we'll be going to Ganon's Tower. And File should be right behind her. And then Vortex of Doom should be finding their flute here any moment.
Okay, it's got to black out for a moment. Okay, things are slowly booting back up here.
We've got an updated image on the stream, so you can see sailing up is climbing up to Super Bunny to get to GT. And Vortex is Bishop TR. Is odd that Nep chose to take this route to GT, and that it is a slower route back up, and TR is open. Because I believe she did check Super Bunny. Yeah, she did. And yeah, chat, if any of you want to type numbers in chat for where you think the Chi-Chi item will be, go and type it in. You know, it could be 1 through 22. We don't know what this big key's going to be from Ganon's Tower, so feel free to make your guesses. I'll probably go with 5. I always pick 5. Just always do.
Meanwhile, Vortex finally getting his flute.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, got a small key in Hope Room going right.
So there'll be 2 checks. It sounds like they're grabbing the key on the right side, so it sounds like they probably didn't get big key. Probably going to Southwest Room now.
Now the change in music would indicate that Nep is doing the climb.
Oh yeah?
Or no.
I thought it was the same music. I think they're in Southwest Room.
Yeah, this is Stalfos Room. Sorry for the video freezing again.
So it does mean we'll be at 11 at the end of Southwest Room.
Sorry for the frozen stream, by the way. We have someone working on it behind the scenes to try to fix it.
I'm gonna go to Nep stream right now so I have it.